Actually, I'll tell you what. If this video gets 50,000 likes, I'll make an entire video doing a deep dive into the episode and the character. Fortunately for my mental health, that will not happen, and I will never have to talk about this little French kid ever again. Alright class, what's the lesson we learned here? The internet wants to see you suffer. This is what you all wanted, huh? You wanted to see me suffer. You wanted to see my beautiful blossoming head wilt as my life force is sucked out of me by the parasitic effects that watching this episode has. You're all evil. Every single one of you that liked that video, and when the Lord returns, I hope he spares your souls no mercy. So for today's lecture, we're talking about the worst episode in South Park history, Pip. Wait, are we talking about the character or the episode? Both. Okay, we're talking about both. This lecture will be a brief history of the character and a discussion about why the episode is so painfully awful. If you want to leave now, I would not blame you at all, so feel free to do so. What about you? Are you gonna stay? Congratulations, you have sealed your fate. Alright, let's get this over with. This is Pip. That's it. That's what I'm calling it. Pip. But before all that, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, FLEXISPOT. FLEXISPOT makes these awesome desks that can be adjusted to be standing height or sitting height. They were kind enough to send me their E4 model, aka their Pro model, and it has been an awesome experience so far. Ignore my god-awful cable management, but this desk moves up and down effortlessly with this little keypad on the right side. Whenever I'm starting to get exhausted from sitting down for too long, for example, when I'm making an entire video about Pip, all I gotta do is hit the little up button and the desk goes to exactly where I want it to be. On top of that, you can set 3 custom presets so that you can have it adjust to whatever height you want whenever you want it. For example, if I just press the little 1 button, it goes straight to my standing height. As someone who has developed some lower back pain due to the hours I've spent editing, this is really helpful in relieving some of that pain. In fact, I'm actually standing up right now while I record this voiceover. This thing has an absolutely huge range of heights, so if you're really tall or really short, it shouldn't be an issue. I'm 6'3" personally, and at the highest setting, it's still way too high for me. So if you would like a new super high quality desk, I highly recommend you go to the link in the description and purchase one for yourself. You would be supporting the channel and it would really mean a lot to me as well. So thank you very much FLEXISPOT for sending me this wonderful desk, and now we are back to the video. So first, a quick shout out to my fellow YouTuber Lydia Loves Timelines, who made a great video on Pip's history recently, and I recommend you go check it out. So Pip's first appearance is in the unaired pilot of South Park, making him one of the oldest characters in the show. From the beginning, his character is pretty defined. He's a sweet, innocent kid, and because of that, he is relentlessly tormented by everyone else. And worst of all, he's British. In the unaired pilot, he cracks his head open on a slide while the other kids laugh at him. When he goes to the nurse's office, she too shows very little regard for his health.
Oh, it's not that bad. You just need a little antiseptic.
Now, notice how I said that this was the unaired pilot and not the real one, because it seems like Matt and Trey made the correct decision in cutting Pip's screen time down to mere background appearances in the real pilot.
Yes! 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 No! No! No!
Now, as we all know, Pip was essentially a prototype version of Butters. He was the punching bag for the rest of the boys far before Butters even had any character traits, and even though they essentially fill the same role, the difference in the characters is massive.
Lunchy munchies? Go away, Pip. Nobody likes you. Yeah, what kind of name is Pip anyway?
Butters is just so much more dynamic. From the beginning, his character was just so much more fleshed out than Pip's. Pip just takes everything that's thrown his way with little to no resistance. His entire character is just that he gets bullied.
My name is Philip, but everyone calls me Pip because they hate me. Then I will call you Pip. Righto.
Butters, on the other hand, has so much more to him. His naivety and sweetness allows him to be easily manipulated and targeted by the other boys, leading to so many hilarious plots throughout the show. Despite this, he at least has somewhat of a backbone, standing up to the boys in the moments when he's able to recognize that he's being taken advantage of. He is constantly experiencing some form of trauma, and because of his genuine reactions to these events, along with the absurd ways the writers have found to traumatize him, it allows you to feel sympathetic while still finding it funny. Pip is different because there just simply isn't anything to his character. He pretty much always reacts the same way no matter what the boys do to him. There's almost never any emotional response, as he just blindly accepts the bullying that he receives. Because of this, the jokes that are written for Pip are almost always external to his character. They're never funny because of Pip, the joke is whatever is happening to him. Let's go through some examples. In Season 1's Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride, when playing football, Pip doesn't get a helmet while everyone else does. Chef is the one that has to explain to him why he doesn't get a helmet.
Mr. Chef, sir, but I still don't have a helmet.
I know, Pip. The school can't afford helmets for everybody.
Yes, but couldn't we rotate who doesn't have a helmet every week? Does it always have to be me?
Throughout the episode, Pip continues to ask for a helmet, and Chef continues to refuse, even when they have an extra helmet.
Mr. Chef, if Stanley doesn't show up, can I use his helmet?
No, Pip, I'm sorry.
Now, I admit that this is a funny gag, but like I said, it's not funny because of Pip. You could literally replace Pip with any other character in the show, and it really wouldn't make a difference. The only reason it even is Pip is because he's the character they've designated as the punching bag. His first major role comes in the episode Damien, in which a new kid becomes the target of the boys' bullying. This new kid turns out to be the son of Satan, but that's beside the point. Being relentlessly bullied, the only kid willing to talk to him is Pip. As the bullying continues, Pip gives him some advice on how to avoid being bullied, because clearly that's worked so well for him up to this point. He takes Pip's advice, and of course that only makes the bullying worse. Eventually, Damien realizes that if he bullies Pip as well, the other kids might like him. So, in an effort to get into Cartman's birthday party, he summons demons to attack Pip, and the rest of the boys decide that he's pretty cool and let him in. Now, this is a major opportunity for Pip to finally show some kind of character, some emotional response, or really anything, as his only friend just betrayed him so that he could have more friends. So how does Pip react?
Oh, what a splendid party.
Again, this is a funny joke to have Damien become a bully in order to fit in with all the other kids, but again, Pip provides nothing to the joke. At this point, his character is literally just a bullying victim. He has no personality, distinct actions, or emotions. Calling him a punching bag might even be overstating his character, since those at least can be kind of dangerous sometimes. The first time we see any true character from Pip at all is in Season 2's Conjoined Fetus Lady. In the episode, Pip shows actual emotion for the first time, as he becomes enraged after the rest of the boys make fun of him for being French.
Hey, I get quite disturbed when you call me that. You shouldn't make fun of foreigners. And besides, I hate French people.
And while I definitely could make a joke here about a British person being upset about being called French, I'll concede that Pip has a point, since, as we all know, there have only ever been 2 French people in history that were actually cool. Actually, come to think of it, they weren't even humans, they were robots, so I guess there's never been any cool French people. Using his rage, Pip ends up winning the World Championship of Dodgeball for South Park, which, of course, no one cares about. Following this, there are a few instances in which Pip shows some semblance of a character, like in Sexual Harassment Panda when he sues Cartman, or primarily in Two Guys Naked in a Hot Tub, in which Stan is stuck in the basement at a party with the Melvins, as he calls them, aka the losers. This includes Dougie, Pip, and his future replacement, Butters. This episode is sorta like a passing of the torch moment, as this is the first episode in which Butters has a significant role. Butters absolutely outshines Pip in this episode, giving us a taste of what it's like to have an actual good punching bag character. Pip does have some decent moments, but it just reaffirms the fact that his character is totally inferior. As I've said, the biggest issue that I have with Pip is that his character is just nothing. It's not interesting or funny. He is solely there to be picked on, and despite the fact that he does have some decently funny moments, every time he has a role in an episode, I just can't help but think how much better it would have been if it were Butters instead of Pip. And while I'm willing to give the smallest bit of credit to him for walking so that Butters could run, or more like tripping, falling, and slowly crawling so that Butters could run, that's the most I'm willing to give to him. He was never interesting, and in my opinion, he is the worst character in the show. So, what did Matt and Trey decide to do with the least interesting character in the entire show? They decided to make an entire episode solely about him. And now, it's time to talk about it. Okay, so if I'm gonna do this, I'm definitely not doing it alone. Yo, do you want to watch the South Park episode Pip with me?
Do we have to?
Yes. First, I need to give you some very important context for this episode. It is a direct retelling of the classic Charles Dickens novel, Great Expectations. Now, Charles Dickens novels fall into a very specific category of literature, a category which I have titled English literature from the mid-1800s that is incredibly boring and has no likable characters or any redeeming qualities. Now, I know Dickens was hugely influential and I'm just not smart enough to understand it and blah blah, I don't care. This is an incredibly tedious and boring story, and reading it is a fate that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. So knowing this context, it really is the perfect setting for a character like Pip. We start off the episode with a live-action segment with Malcolm McDowell discussing the story of Pip, and I will admit that this part was kind of amusing.
Hello, I'm a British person. For years
That's kind of funny.
Pip has been featured prominently.
We follow Pip as he goes to meet his parents, or should I say his parents' gravestones, since they're dead. As is the theme with many parts of this episode, it's hard to tell if this is supposed to be a joke or not. Regardless, it definitely sets the tone for the rest of the episode. All of a sudden, Pip sees an escaped convict and frees him from his shackles, and as we'll see later, this convict really takes that to heart. Pip arrives to his home where he lives with his sister and her husband, who is teaching Pip to become a blacksmith. His sister just screams non-stop for an entire minute about how Pip needs to get a job. At this point, I was already struggling. I don't know if I can do this.
My ears are already wanting to. The voices aren't that annoying through the whole episode, right?
No. However, there was one part of the scene that I found at least slightly amusing. The blacksmith finds a job listing for a boy to spend time with the daughter of the wealthiest woman in town, and Pip accepts the offer. He arrives and meets the girl, who is continuously berating Pip and calling him some pretty creative insults.
This way, you beef-witted, shriveled-up monkey's penis.
I'm gonna start using these.
Yeah, these are good. So the joke here is that she calls Pip names and beats him up. Man, what a fresh and interesting concept that has not been done before. He meets the girl's super creepy mother, who it is revealed just wants to see men get their heart broken.
You think of her.
Well, at least they got the character designs, like, accurate to what British people look like.
What else?
So at this point, we're about 6 minutes into the episode, and all that we've gotten is a semi-funny British person joke, a metal newspaper, and an accurate retelling of an incredibly boring book, except this time, there's swearing. Don't worry, we're gonna get through this. So now Pip learns that an anonymous benefactor has paid for him to travel to London and become a gentleman. Pip arrives in London, and shockingly, the episode really turns it around here, as the episode suddenly becomes a musical, with all the characters breaking into song. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen. Apparently that was the original plan for this episode, but it was scrapped, which is incredibly disappointing because that would have added at least something interesting. Instead, Pip meets his roommate, Pocket. Now, were you curious as to why the creepy woman wanted to see Pip get his heart broken? Not at all? Well, guess what? We get a 1.5-minute long exposition dump from Pocket, with the only joke being his constant corrections of Pip's manners at the table, including this absolute knee slapper.
Nope, just him talking.
With me suggesting that one should never pull out the wee-wee and check it for scabs whilst at the table. Terribly sorry, Pocket. Not at all.
Oh man, that's funny.
And so,
And you know what? I would tell you the reason for why she hates men, but it literally does not matter at all. So, we go back to the only entertaining character in this episode, a British person, who discusses what Pip learned during his time in London. He then makes a remark that caught me so off guard that it was the first time I actually laughed during this episode.
and he was shown how to dance and how to eat box. And after weeks of
But that brief moment of joy that I experienced was quickly replaced with more Pip. Pip goes back to the creepy woman now as a gentleman because he's in love with her daughter, and absolutely nothing interesting happens. He takes Estella, that's the girl's name, didn't mention that because who cares, to the ball, and again, nothing interesting happens. He confesses his love, and we finally get another attempt at a joke, which was enough to make me blow extra air out of my nose.
Right,
What the-
Steve, just one moment.
I don't remember this.
That is Steve. He is 17 and has a car. I see.
Okay,
Oh,
that's kind of
There
funny.
we go.
This is reminding me of high school. Also, the animations for their dancing here is kind of funny, I'll admit that. So then Pip goes back to the creepy lady, who reveals that it was her plan all along to break his heart, and for the first time, the episode shifts from directly retelling the events of Great Expectations, as the woman reveals her plans to fuse her soul with her daughter's with a Genesis device so that she can break men's hearts for even longer.
using my Genesis device. You
What?
see, my fool.
Okay, great. Finally, something kind of interesting. Let's go. And she sent robot monkeys out to kill Pip. Hell yeah, this is awesome. Wait, Pip, where you go? No, don't leave. Come on, it was just getting Oh my, no, come on. Okay. So we learned that Pip's benefactor was actually the convict that he freed at the beginning, who was so moved by Pip's actions that he... You know what? Who cares? This scene is another minute of absolutely nothing but exposition. They all go back to the creepy woman, and as Pip tries to free Estella from the machine, the rest of them fight off the robot monkeys.
So am I.
What?
It was trying to do us a favor.
Tried to put us out of our misery. Pip proves to her that she still has a heart after she killed 25 baby bunnies because she's not willing to kill the 26th baby bunny. Meanwhile, Pocket tries to stop the men used in the device from crying because the creepy lady needs their tears for the procedure, and one of the men say a line that was funny in a way that it was definitely not intended to be.
You're boring us to tears.
Me. Pip ends up saving her, and a British person comes back to declare that everyone lives happily ever after except for Pocket, who died of hepatitis B. Haha, how funny. They did the same joke better in Woodland Critter Christmas, but thank God the episode is finally over, and we can all finally get to the conclusion. All right, what are your thoughts?
That's 22 minutes of my life I'm never getting back again.
All right. This episode falls into the same trap that some of the other worst episodes of the show do. The parody is too accurate. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Parody does not equal funny. If you parody an annoying character from a movie by making a character that's even more annoying, you have become what you're parodying. If you parody an incredibly boring story by making an incredibly boring story, you get this episode. Now, I know a lot of people have nostalgia tied to this episode as it reminds them of the time that they were forced to read Great Expectations as a kid, and I can completely understand why this episode may hold a special place in your heart. It is totally fine if you like Pip, the episode or the character. That is your opinion, and I respect that. Which is why I'm allowed to have my opinion too. And in my opinion, Pip is the single worst character and episode in South Park history. But you know, if I can get real with you guys for a second, I've been seeing so much Pip hate in recent times, and I can't help but feel like I'm at least partially to blame for this. Whether I like it or not, a lot of people are influenced by my opinions. I mean, I don't blame them since my opinions are always correct, but it's becoming a bit of a weight on my shoulders. I mean, this person on Tumblr wrote a 15-paragraph essay about the increase in Pip haters and listed me as one of the main causes of this. Sure, I might think that the only people that like Pip are all the 15-year-olds that think he's cute in the South Park Discord server, but I shouldn't be saying that online. I should be spreading positivity. Do I really want to be spreading hate like this? Of course I do, which is why you too can become a certified Pip hater by becoming a channel member. For only $3 a month, get wonderful features such as exclusive badges that show up on comments and live stream chat to show the whole world that you're a Pip hater, these cool emojis that can be used in my live stream as well, which I promise I will be doing more often. And that's really it. I haven't really added any other benefits right now, but I'm working on adding stuff to it right now, I promise. So what are you waiting for? For the low price of $3 a month, you can show the whole world that you are a Pip hater today.